So for Friday, we are going to talk about rounding decimals. So you have this sheet on your desk. It says 1.5 rounding decimals. I want you to fold it in half, fold it straight down. We are going to write on this side of it our anchor chart, and then we're going to work the problems on the inside for our notes for our notebook. Okay. So we are rounding decimals. Write that just up top. Rounding decimals. All right, so step one is I'm going to give an example over here, and then we are going to put the steps on this side for it, and then we'll work some on the inside. So here is our example. And here are our steps. We'll put those in green. All right, so let's take the number let's take the number 1 and 239 thousandths. This is a decimal, okay? And let's say, so step one is going to be to underline the place being rounded. So step one, underline the place being rounded. So if the question says, hey, I want to round, I have 1 and 239 thousandths, and I want to round that to the nearest tenths, okay? So I would underline the tenth place, and that's why place value is so important. You have to know your place value to know what to do, okay? So I'm going to underline the tenth place. Step two is going to be to look at the number to the right. Look at the number to the right. The right of your underlined number. I'm going to put that in parentheses. The right of your underlined number. Okay. So I've underlined it. Then I'm going to look near it. So I'm going to draw that little arrow showing that I looked near it to the right. Right? Step three is if 5 or higher, raise the underlined number. And y'all said to me last year, if it's 5 or more, raise the score. So we can write that. If 5 or more, raise the score. Okay. Step 4 would be 4 or less, let it rest. If 4 or less, let it rest. And then the last step, step 5, would be to change all the numbers to the right of the underline to zeros. Change. Oh, let's do our step over here. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. So we underlined the 2. We looked near it. It's a 3. So is it 3 or 4 that I'm going to do? If it's 5 or more, well, is 3 5 or more? No. So I'm going to go to step 4. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. So here's the deal. That 2 is going to stay. So it's going to become a 1.2. That 2 is going to stay. And then step 5 is change all the numbers to the right of the underlined number to zeros. Change it to zeros. So I'm going to change. I have 1.2. Let me write that in blue. Sorry. I have this 1.2 because the 1 stayed. I looked at the underlined the 2, looked near it. It's a 3. So that 2 gets to stay the same because it says if 4 or less, let it rest. Then all the digits to the right, which there are 2 digits, they turn into zeros. Okay? There's your steps for rounding. Rounding decimals is the same as rounding whole numbers. There's just a decimal there. All right, open that up. And I'm going to do one of each problem for you. And then you're going to work these on your own. I'm going to work a couple of them. And then you're going to work them on your own. And then you are going to check them at the end of the video. Okay? So write the place value of the underlined digit. First, they want you to name the place value. Okay? So we need to make sure that we're doing that first. So write the place value of the underlined digit and then round each number to the place value underlined. Well, what place value is this digit right here? Well, I have the decimal and then this is the tenths. Okay, so I wrote the name of the place value. I underline it. I look near it. It's an 8. So that 8 is going to do what to that 7? It's going to raise it up. So I have 0. That 7 is going to turn into an 8. And then all the digits to the right are going to turn into zeros. And if you can't remember that, flip back over to your anchor chart and use those directions. Okay? Number 2. First step is write the place value of the underlined digit. Well, this is ones. This is my decimal and tenths, hundredths. Okay? I underlined the 7. I look near it. It's a 1. 1. Is that going to raise that 7 up? No. So it's going to say 4.0 and then leave the 7 to rest. And then all the digits to the right are going to turn to zeros. And I can actually let that 0 fall off, but it's easier if you'll put it on there for now just to get the hang of it. Okay, what place value is that 1 in? That is in the ones place. Good. I look near it. It's a 9. So that 9 is going to do what to that 1? It's going to make it raise up. So I have 2. That 1 is going to turn into a 2. The decimal stays. Then what happens to all those digits to the right of it? 0, 0, 0. And again, if it's all zeros, now here I can't leave off this 0 because there's a digit after it. But if it's all zeros, those zeros can fall off and it would still be right. Okay? This is where I want you to pause the video. I want you to try number 4, 5, and 6. And then once you've tried them, I want you to click the video again to check your answers. Okay, so here I have the tenths. It rounds to 8.2. I have the tens. It rounds to 30. And again, I could have those zeros gone. Hundredths, and it rounds to 4.28 or 4 and 28 hundredths. And again, that 0 could fall off as well. Okay, all right. Round 8 and 293 thousandths to the place named. So you're rounding this same number to all these different place values. Okay, so I'm going to write the number here. I'm going to underline the place value it says. That's hundredths. I'm going to look near it. Does that 3 raise it up? No. So it's going to become 8.2. 9 stays the same. The digits to the right turn into zeros. Go to the next one. Rewrite the number 8.293 or 8 and 293 thousandths. Underline the tenths. Look near it. That's a 9. That 9 is going to do what to the 2? It's going to bring it up, so it's going to become 8.3. And again, everything to the right becomes zeros, so those zeros can just fall off, okay, if they're at the end. Same thing, rewrite the number. Underline the place value, ones. This is the ones place. Look near it. It's a 2. Is that 2 going to raise up that 8? No. So it's just going to stay 8. And then I can leave the decimal and put the 3 zeros, or they can just fall off, because a whole number doesn't have to have its decimal. Even if there was one, it can fall off, okay? Because we know there's a hidden decimal at the end there. All right, pause the video, and I want you to do that same thing to these 3 problems. Round it to the tenths, the hundredths, and the ones, this number right here. And then come back on the video to check your work. So I have 12.5, and again, I could have zeros at the end. I have 12 and 46 hundredths, or 12, and then the 0.46, okay? I could have a 0 at the end. And then the ones place, it's just 12, because that 4 is not big enough to raise that 2 up. So, and again, I could have the decimal at the end and zeros, or I could just have the 12. All right, let's go on. Write the place value of the underlined digit. Round each number to the place value underlined. So, same thing, you're writing the word, then you're going to round it and give the answer. So I'm going to do number 1 with you. You're going to do 2 and 3, okay? This is my, well, that's ones. There's the decimal. Tenths, hundredths, so hundredths. Look near it. It's a 3. Does 3 raise that up? No, because 4 or less, let it rest. So it becomes 0 and 67 hundredths. And that 3 would just turn into a 0 or fall off. Okay, I want you to do number 2 and 3. Pause the video and do those. And then come back on and check your answer. So here I have the tenths place was underlined, and it becomes 4.3. Here I have the ones place is underlined, and it becomes 13. And again, that decimal could or could not be there. That's okay. Name the place value to which each number was rounded. So they've already rounded, and they want to know, where did they round? Well, here was the number, and it turned into 0.98. Well, it looks like all they did was drop off this 2. So to do that, they left the 8 alone. So they rounded it in the, well, that's tenths, hundredths place. Okay. How did we get 3 and 695 thousandths to turn into a 4? Well, what place value is that 4 in? If I have a decimal at the end of it, it's in the ones place, isn't it? So I underline the 1, look near it. That 6 would have bumped that 3 up. So they rounded in the ones place. Here I have 7.486, and it turned into a 5 right there. So 7 stayed 7 in the decimal. And then that 4, I look near, it's an 8. That 8 would have made that 4 turn into the 5. So they rounded in the tenths place. Okay, bottom of the paper. Write the place value of the underlined digit. Round each number to the place value underlined. I want you to do 7, 8, 9. And then again, you've already done this. I want you to do round 16 and 748 thousandths by the number given, by the place value given. So I want you to do all 6 of those and then come back on and check your answers. Pause the video and do them yourself, please. All right, so here are my answers. The tenths turns into 0.6 or 6 tenths. The ones turns into 7 ones. Because if this is like money, that's $6.51, which would round up to $7. Here I had 80, and then that 9 would round that up to 81 hundredths. Here, if I round this digit right here to the tenths place, it's 16 and 7 tenths, because that 4 does not round it up. To the hundredths place, it's 16 and 75 hundredths, and to the ones place, it's just 17, and I could have that decimal right there if I would like. All right, you're going to fold this. You are going to place it into your math log labeled rounding decimals for your notes section. So rounding decimals. So this is going to be 1027 rounding decimals. Notes. And I'm on page 32. Okay. So again, you're going to glue that into your notes section, rounding decimals. All right, now you're going to go to your try it.